Hi guys, it's Summer and I'm back with another video. Please don't forget to comment down below and subscribe. I will be doing a book review, as you guys can probably tell by the title. But without further ado, let's get on to today's video. So as many of you may know or should know, I started reading a book earlier this year that I got from a Black History Month event, and here's the book. It's called The Other Black Girl, a novel by Zakiya, I think it's might be Delilah Harris, and I never gave you guys any more updates on the book, and that's what we're going to talk about first. This book here has 19 chapters, and the chapter I got to before I stopped reading it was chapter 13. As you can see, my bookmark is still in there. So I ultimately decided to stop reading this book, not for the reason that you guys may think. So the reason I stopped reading this book was because around the time that I was trying to finish it up, I got a bit overwhelmed reading it. Also, I got quite confused. I was trying to do a lot of stuff at the time, so I was just, I guess, overstimulated. As the chapters went on, I got confused like 2 or 3 chapters before I got to the most recent chapter that I was on, 13. But I just kept reading it because I was like, maybe I'll become unconfused, maybe I'll get it. So I stopped reading it and I took a little break, and then once this book got here, I started reading this book. This book is not horrible. I actually really like it, but I just decided I would put it down and read my other book and come back to it later. I think I'm going to, when I start back reading it, I'm going to read it from the beginning again. I became a little frustrated with the main character. Nella is her name, and the decisions that she was making and her thought process was stressing me out a little bit. It truly was. She basically was making some decisions that I myself wouldn't make. So the part that really annoyed me with Nella was that Hazel, the other black girl in the company, she invited her to, before this, Nella had been getting like death threats in the form of notes. She gets them in an envelope and they'll be like sitting on her desk or something. So she was really paranoid, and she was like, it could be anybody, it could be Hazel for all I know. She was really the only black girl there and she probably was the only black girl that they hired in a very long time, or probably the first, because she wasn't getting death threats before Hazel came, which I found really, really suspect as well. And I thought it was Hazel, but then, when things start happening, you have to look at everybody. You can't rule anybody out because it could be anybody. Hey, it could be anybody. So basically, Hazel invited her to this little event at her shop. She owns like this black-owned business, and they sell hair stuff essentially. The owner of Wagner, which Nella had saw before, because basically she's been working there for 3 years. Has it been 3 years? Maybe. I'll put a little bubble. He was never at the company a lot, so I'm trying to get it to where it won't be like, I have a piece of glitter on my leg, on my arm. Nella found that really suspicious. She was like, oh my gosh, what the heck? Because he doesn't speak that much, so how did she get him to come to her event? And she really didn't think he would actually come, so Nella didn't even want to go because she had a date or something with her boyfriend. And by the way, Nella's boyfriend is white. That doesn't really mean too much, but that's just a fact to throw in there randomly. it was a little weird. Like, she was on edge because she was paranoid, y'all. She was trying to talk to her all night because they had a meeting at the company, you guys. Some very like suspect questions, and they asked them to Hazel. I don't really remember the exact way they asked the question about it, and she was like, oh, you know, I thought it was amazing. I thought it was exceptional. The same book, mind you, the same book that Nella read and criticized. She was like, oh, it's a good book. I loved it. It was a good read. And Nella is side-eyeing right now because she's like, but you agreed when I told you my thoughts and you agreed on the character and stuff, but now in front of them you're like switching up. She found that a little bit weird, and I found it weird too, but at the same time I didn't, you know, side-eye too much because she could be putting on a show. And essentially Nella, when she went to the event, she finally got a chance to speak with Hazel, and she was like, y'all, the paranoia was getting to her, and she essentially went over to her and started cussing. I'm like, what the H is that? Was that back there? In the meeting, I thought you agreed with me on the character, but you said you liked it and you liked the book. What was all that? She was like, what was all that? And I was like, girl, I know you're supposed to be, you know, friends, but y'all are still colleagues. Y'all still work together. You're still co-workers. Like, keep it a little bit more professional. And she kind of let her in on, she was like, I've been getting sent death threats in the form of a note. And that's when she told her that, and she was like, what the heck? And I was like, oh, because I feel like Nella shouldn't have told her that she was getting death threats, because what if she was in on it? You know, now you're letting the enemy know that you're in on their whatever they got going on. And also, they're not very close. Like, just because you're black doesn't mean a thing. So she was like, y'all ignore my blush. I want to blend it out some more, but it's blended out on this side, but on this side it's just looking really in your face, and I kind of like it, but it needs to be blended out a little bit. Eventually Hazel told her, oh, I thought the book was okay. I agree with you on your, you know, opinion, but I still liked it. Besides that character, I still liked the book. So she was like, she shouldn't have went to her and kind of like said, you know, been aggressive with it. And not only that, I feel like she shouldn't have checked her on that, because her other coworker, Vera, Nella's coworker that, you know, witnessed the whole thing with the writer, Vera went behind her back and started giving a whole bunch of books to Hazel to read, and she was like, let me know your opinion. Like, Nella isn't working under her. Like, that's not Nella's job. So I feel like Vera was trying to start something between them, which she probably wasn't, but I feel like she was. Like, she shouldn't have tried to like check her, because what if her, like, she never said that was downright her opinion. That was just Nella's opinion that she just agreed to. So she probably could have thought, you know, the book was okay, besides that character, you know, and really enjoyed it. Why are you on her back about that? So on to my latest read, which is, it's called The Last Girl Ghosted by Liza Unger. I'm still actually currently reading this book, but I wanted to tell you guys about it before I get finished. This book has, I think, about 50 chapters. I could have sworn it was. Correct me if I'm wrong on the screen, Future Leslie. I'm currently on part 2, chapter 18, and the book's really good so far. I like it. It's not too mystery-ish, which I kind of would like it to be, but like it's actually starting to deep dive into the nitty-gritty. The main character's name is Mia Thorne, and she has 2 friends, I believe. I only remember the name of one, and her name is Jax. She goes by Jax, but her actual name is Jasmine. And the guy that she has fallen in love with, he goes by the name Adam, but that's apparently not his real name, or maybe it is, I don't know. Where I'm at in the book, he's already ghosted her, and she's been not in contact with him for about a few days at the latest. So she met this guy on an online dating app, and the whole reason she went on this dating app was because her friend was like, oh, you should get out there, and it's fun to just meet new people. But she wasn't really feeling it. However, she was kind of pushed into it, so she ended up doing it anyway. She met a couple of people, but she didn't like them, so she wasn't really I don't know. But she ended up going on a date with this guy. He seemed more her type. Adam, that's his name, with a name that he had on the app. She ends up meeting him. She likes it. They hit it off immediately. We were dating for about 3 months, and things were going okay, even though she didn't know anything about him. She's like, oh, I was in love with him, and I'm like, oh, you knew him for 3 months and you didn't even know anything about him. The only thing she knew was his name, where he lives supposedly. Turns out he didn't even live there. She knew he was an online, he was like a web security. That was his job, web security, something to do with that. And that was about it in 3 months of dating. They were supposed to go on a date this day, and she was waiting there for him. He told her the address, and all of a sudden he just said he couldn't go there, and he wouldn't answer the phone at first, well, her phone. And then he said that he's leaving or something and that he's sorry. And she was obviously very confused, just thoroughly confused about what was happening. And then he ghosted her, and she didn't hear from him for a little minute. And this guy came to her. He was a detective, forgot his name, oops. But he came to her, and he was told her that he's looking for this guy, and that I think he said 2 girls were missing, and his name is Bailey Kirk. It came up immediately as I opened the book, but his name is Bailey Kirk, and he found her and asked her if she knew him. And like 2 days after, Adam, the guy that Mia loved, and he basically asks her if she knows where he is, anything about him. So she ended up contacting Adam, the guy, the place where he took her and where she was staying at with him and would spend the night at with him was not his place. It was just a place that he had rented, and so he ran off, and he didn't pay for his rental because he ran off. She contacted the rental guy of the place, and she ended up paying back the money that he didn't pay, for the rental that he stayed in for I don't know how long. And he also left all the stuff that he had there, which was hardly anything, but told her that they came from like trouble. They've had trouble past, and it all describes her, literally her to the T. So he was like, obviously, he goes for these types of girls, and they all have something in common, so you must have something in common too. And she's like, it's hilarious because she's like, how dare he would say something like that, but it was the truth. And she tried to lie to him, y'all. She said, no, it doesn't ring a bell. I don't have a trouble, past or whatever, knowing that she does. But I mean, she's not like in the police station, so whatever she says can't be held against her, Bailey Kirk, she's been meeting with him a few times. And currently, y'all, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to read it tonight because it's just so good. Currently, the investigative detective, he knows that she's, not telling the truth. And y'all, like the day after she first met the detective, he contacted her. Adam, the guy, he was like, he said, I forgot what he said. He said something to her. He texted her, and after that, he didn't text her anymore. But currently, the detective, where I stopped off at, the detective, he visited her home. He visited Mia's home, and they talked a little bit. And he left, but he didn't really leave, y'all. He went to his car, and he drove, to an area where he didn't go home or anything, to where he could still see her window, like Mia's window. So he knows that she's lying, y'all, about the things that she's saying. And he also probably feels that because Mia didn't die, or she didn't become missing or anything, he thinks that Adam is gonna come back for her, And I believe it, and Mia believes it too, because she's like, oh my gosh, what if he does come back for me? And that's where I stopped off. It's good. It's great. I might have to read it tonight while I'm talking about it, because that's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm going to fill you guys in once I finish this book. I don't know what book I'm gonna get after I'm done with this. I kind of want to finish this, and I also want to read the audiobook, The Richest Man in Babylon. My dad had me read it, and I really liked it. It was something. But I read that in 2021, and it's 2023, and I forgot all about it. I don't remember what it's about too much, so I'm gonna reread it or listen to the audiobook again. So yeah, that's it for today's video, you guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Comment some book recommendations down below, preferably not from Colleen Hoover, because I already have some that I want to get from her, but not a lot. I want to get the sequel to It Ends With Us, which is It Starts With Us, I think. So yeah, comment down below some book recommendations. But yeah, that's it for today's video, you guys. Please don't forget to like, comment down below, and also subscribe to my channel. Thank you guys for constantly watching, subscribing, and liking my videos. It's thoroughly appreciated. Inside, yeah. See you guys in a week.